Our reading today is Sauntering, a Spiritual Journey by Reverend Kim Crawford Harvey. In the 4th century, pilgrims would travel to remote hermitages of the desert fathers and mothers. Christian hermits, ascetics, and monks who lived in the Egyptian desert, and open a ritual exchange saying, "Give me a word that I may live." They then told each other stories, not so much of the perils they had faced, but hopeful, life-affirming, liberating stories.
Have you ever approached a bridge and stopped? Ever taken a close look at the bridge before you ventured onto it? Ever wondered if you dared to get on that bridge? In a month featuring Journey, our vision of a journey is that it is an ongoing venture. Oh, and there may have been a time you took a trip to Grandma's house and the entire journey came to an end when you arrived. But the journey considered today is a lifetime endeavor, a process, a way of living your life. And as you walk through life, many bridges will appear. Choices will be made to venture out or to step back. Now, bridge is an intriguing word. Merriam-Webster says a bridge is a structure carrying a pathway or roadway over a depression or obstacle, such as a river. Its second definition is that a bridge is a time, a place, or a means of connection or transition, like a bridge between two cultures. Now, there are many other ways that bridge can be used in our language. In music, a bridge raises the strings of an instrument. In billiards, a bridge uses the hand as a rest for the cue. In dentistry, a bridge is a partial denture anchored to adjacent teeth. In chemistry, a bridge connects two different parts of a molecule. In physics, a bridge is an electrical instrument that measures or compares resistances. In the Navy, a bridge is the forward part of a ship's superstructure. In rocketry, a bridge is a platform used for erecting and servicing rockets. In railroads, a bridge is an engine frame raised on side supports to span over something. Oh, and there's also a popular game called bridge. As for that game, there was a bridge novice polishing a lamp one day, and a genie popped out and said, "I will grant you one wish." Well, the player unfolded a map of the world and said, "Let all of these countries live in peace and harmony." You've got to be kidding. I'm only a genie. The player thought for a bit and then said, "Okay, make me a winning bridge player." Said the genie, "Let me see that map again." So, although bridge can be used a variety of different ways, we are not counting points, preparing to bid, not connecting molecules, or using our hand to rest a cue this morning. Our look is at the first two definitions: a structure, as in this church, a place from which you bridge; a connection, the link to another place, in this case to the world; and a transition, the stability that appears when the structure and the connections align. Earl Nightingale once said, "Your problem is to bridge the gap which exists between where you are now and the goal you intend to reach." Today's title, "Bridging the Gap to the World," suggests a point of departure for the goals this church intends to reach. Now, some of this was set in place several years ago. This congregation chose interfaith outreach and education in your 2013 long-range plan. This decision set a course you followed. It pointed you toward bridging the gap to the world. And you have set up a great framework at Northlake Unitarian Universalist. The educational programs held on this campus, and I bet you there are few of you here who could get all of these, but I see them. Lead Prep is here, Aspiring Youth is here, Aaron's Place, Studio East, the Bangladeshis hold classes here, East Side Audubon holds classes here, and the Northwest Watercolor Association has classes here. There are probably others. The interfaith outreach includes groups that meet or have met here: the Trinity Reformed Baptists, Zoroastrians, several Muslim groups, Congregation Kol Ami, East Side Insight Meditation, Mindfulness Northwest, the Rowan Tree, the Attain Housing Meal Program, and FIRE, Fostering Interfaith Relations on the East Side, KIN, the Kirkland Interfaith Network, and GKEP, the Greater Kirkland Ecumenical Parish. This is the structure already set into place here at Northlake. But bridging the gap to the world is an ongoing process. Having the structure is not the end of it. You may have noticed that our bridge builders made a somewhat tedious connection there when the component parts merged with each other as this bridge was being put together. There was some sort of uncertainty and some questioning, but the connection was completed. If we think of this bridge as a metaphor, it is good to recall that connections become more difficult when people are involved. All the emotional stuff comes to the fore. People have good days and bad ones, whether it be a friend or someone you do not yet know. There are good days and ones that are not so good. There is also history, historical background, and a backdrop of national and local tendencies. All of these must align with the traits of this religion, with us, who you are becoming, and what you like about this place. If people try to build a connection and do not fully know the attitudes or views of their bridge building partners, it is difficult to link two sections of a relational bridge together. Yet Buddhist teacher Stephen Levine reminded us, go to the truth beyond the mind. Love is the bridge. And Northlake is a community built on the power of love. If your end of the bridge requires a stronger structure, you have taken steps to fortify the basis upon which this church has set itself apart. You have offered a loving spirit in this community. You look forward toward better ventures in the days ahead. Yes, there is hope for better days, a better world, a more promised land. There is a vision that unites this community. Many bridge building efforts have already begun. And one of the things that happens here is that we communicate with each other. In the midst of everything that's happening here today, I was reminded that these plastic devices upon which this bridge was built are much like straws. And we are trying to get rid of straws. So what are we doing using this to build a bridge? A good reminder. We still have things to learn, my friends. We still have things to learn. It is also true that this congregation is moving through a transition. Now, some might be concerned about transitions. In the past, I have heard that church members, not just here, and other churches too, not just here. Did you hear that? Not just here. But people will say, I will wait to see what happens before deciding how I will relate to this church. And that how I will relate involves not only their participation, but also their financial support. This is how fearful some people can be about transitions. I urge you to consider a different approach. Could you think of Northlake as an institution? An institution here. Set the little friendly little church near downtown Kirkland aside for a bit. See a rapidly growing, bridge-building institution firmly established right here for you and for all who are around you. Consider all the groups this institution has supported, is supporting, and will support. Look forward. Consider the connections made here between groups that might not otherwise find a place for such connections. I think at the annual Zoroastrian New Year's festival held in this room last night, what a joy to be able to see a little bit of that occur here in this building. Consider the many programs offered for members and friends, religious education for children, for adults, small groups, music, stitching, greeting, caretaking, etc. Institutional items, each and every one of them. Consider all of the things that keep this church alive, engaged, and here for you, here for those around you, and here for this community. When the structure, community-mindedness and fiscal integrity, and the connections, the steps already taken to bridge to the world, align, anything can happen here. Wonderful events will take place here. Joy will fill your hearts with gladness as you continue on your journey. Do you know that all of these methods for bridging the gap to the world would not be possible if this church was not here? Consider that. What if this church disappeared? What if unknown forces and a lack of commitment led to its undoing? Some of you may have felt this, I would hope in the past, that Northlake might disappear. What a shame that would be. What a loss, not only for you, but for so many others. My friends, you have faced roadblocks, stepped through difficult days. You took steps to lift up justice, equity, and compassion for all. Yes, you have. This second principle appears in messages from your pulpit. It's in your covenant of right relations. It was there in classes on honest, direct, respectful conversations. You have highlighted better methods of communication here. You have reinstated a monthly newsletter. You have seen what it takes to keep people informed here and made certain people know what is happening and when. In addition, you paid off your chapel notes recently. Your indebtedness dropped from $800,000 to $680,000 since I have been here. Your interest rate was cut as well. Northlake has built itself slowly and steadily into an institution in its spirit, its life, and its fiscal status. Don't let that go, my friends. Please do not let that go. This year's annual budget drive is underway. You are here to tend the flame, light the path. Have no fear, the bridge you walk across will fail, it will hold. As you make your commitment for the operations of Northlake UU during this next year, can you take a moment and pause and think of this church as the institution it is? Stop and consider all the good things happening here, the many ways Northlakers are bridging the gap to the world. And then do what you can to support an institution you love and appreciate. Take a step up toward not only seeing this church through another year, but providing it the fiscal light it needs in years to come. Tend the flame, light the path. If you give what you can to support this institution, if those around you give what they can, Northlake will make it through this next year and the next one and on for years to come. And so, as we leave this place today, let us remember that this is an institution where the love in your hearts meets love in the hearts of those around you. May it always be so. Namaste.